Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we just finished another workout at the Sports Barn Club with Don Bowman. I'll put a link up here to give a shout out. Thanks for letting us do this, Don. So if you've seen a couple of the part 1 and part 2 videos with Connor and Kurtisha, aka Ken and Barbie, they're shopping for a house. Connor did a cash out refi with followmortgage.com, and then Kurtisha did a pre-approval. They then went shopping. They made 3 offers, and they got an offer accepted. Watch that video. I'll put a link up here to that second part 2. Since then, they've gotten the property inspected. Some of the big things were a leak in the water heater. And by the way, I strongly encourage anyone buying a property. I do this for all my properties, even if I do them not contingent upon inspection. I still want to know what's wrong with them, and I'll let the buyer know I'm going to do it, because I want a really nice, short list of things I actually want to fix, because I don't know how to inspect all these things. Get an expert to do that. And then I have him call me to run over the top few list of what's really majorly wrong with it, so I'll know what to fix. The most important thing you do when you get your house inspected is to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. They used Ken Fast from Pillar to Post, who I've been using for over a decade, and he mentioned that there was a leak in the water heater. It's 15 to 17 years old. Those things are rated to last 8 to maybe 12 years, depending on how much you pay for one, because really they're about the warranty. And so what happens is they basically start rusting from the inside out. Never set one on a ground or concrete. This is something that I encourage them to ask for them to replace, because it's even though it might be heating water, it's going to go out, so it needs to be done now. Is that something you ask him to do and he's going to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on the water heater?
I don't think so. It was just like leaking into the electrical stuff.
On the water heater itself?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah, the inspector, he was very timid about it. He didn't even want to run it when he was there, but he did run it, but he told us it's not safe, and he turned it off right away when he left.
Yeah.
Okay. How much did you guys spend on the inspection, by the way?
Around $500.
Yeah.
$525.
Yeah. And are you glad you did it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
and my experience is you'll usually get that much or more out of them. I've had them save me on that $500,000 property I did. We basically used that inspection report to get us $3,500 back from the seller. So they're great. The heat pump was not working properly. So that's all that the inspector noted. And then what I recommended to you guys was hire a heating and air inspector.
Yes.
So how did that go? They did that. They took the advice and they did that. Way to go.
Yeah, it was good. Paid a little extra, but it was so worth it. And so he went out there and did that with them.
Yeah, so they went and did their own inspection, the heating and air guys, and they basically found that the heat pump is working, it's operable. So they connected, made sure all the breakers and electric was working right. But when they redid the floor, the flippers did, they actually covered up the return vent. And the ducting underneath, the inspector thought it wasn't being used. They thought it was old, but they figured out that it actually was in use, but they had actually just mistakenly covered up the vent. So they found out that they needed to do a bunch of work to the ducting, and then cut a hole in the floor, make room for a vent and all this stuff. So it's going to work, but they found out that they fixed it incorrectly when they flipped the house.
So there was no circulation for the air to come back in and return.
Correct.
Where you put the air filter was completely missing.
Exactly.
There was no place to put one.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's actually functioning fine except for that piece. Like the unit itself, you don't have to spend $5,000 or $8,000 on a new one. So that was kind of good news.
Exactly.
And we asked them to fix it.
And they said...
They said yes. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, and by the way, how much did you spend on paying the heating and air service to come out and do that inspection?
I think it was like $105.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes these inspectors will tell you, if you go ahead and have the service we recommend, we'll refund that or not. Don't get so hung up on that. It's money well spent, I promise you. You got to be willing to walk away from both of those costs, that inspection fee and then that inspection fee on the heating and air as well. And it's totally worth it. If you find a frog that you got to kiss and move on, you're better off. If it's so bad that it's not worth doing, walk away. Don't feel like just because I'm committed, I got a few $100 in, I need to keep going. Walk away. The dishwasher wasn't working. What happened there?
We just basically asked them to either replace it or repair it, whatever makes it operable.
Okay.
And they said they would.
Cool.
Yeah.
A lot of times those things are pretty disposable in my opinion. You can buy one for, I don't know, $250, $500, somewhere in there. It costs that much to get one repaired, and then it's still ugly and everything's worn out. So I typically tend to replace those unless it's something very minor. There was an issue about the chimney flashing and the cap. Tell us about that, and then tell us the resolution of that.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things wrong. The inspector said this is something that you want to fix, you don't want to let linger. He showed us pictures of all the stuff that he'd identified. So we'd ask in the repair document that they either fix it or replace it or fix it or whatever. And they said, yeah, no problem. So they'll get it done.
That one doesn't scare me a lot. It's, I would say, fixable in my opinion. You can generally get a handyman kind of guy, or even better, a roofer could do that. And I got a great roofer locally in the Chattanooga area. There was some termite activity found at some point in the crawl space. He thought it might be old termites and not active. Is that right? But he also couldn't tell. Yeah. Tell us about the termite issue.
Yeah, so the ducting that we were talking about before underneath, he couldn't get to the opposite side of it, given where the entrance to the crawl space was. So he could see from a distance that, you know, there's a spot that looked like termite activity. He couldn't tell whether it was active or non-active.
Okay.
We contacted Lookout Pest and had them kind of start engaging it, but we found out through a realtor that the flipper, the owner of the house, the seller, had already actually engaged Lookout, and we found out through just calling them easily that they'd had someone go out in August, already find the problem, and by the time we'd actually called and contacted them, they were already scheduled a treatment to it. So there was termite activity there, but they said that it was super minor, and the termite activity is, you know, not really an issue as long as you keep up with the
Good deal.
treatments.
Hey, and congratulations on getting an offer accepted with a contingency for inspection, because that's a little hard to do right now. I've only had about 1 of the 10 I bought in the last 2 years that I can think of that I was able to get that. So good job. There was some electrical wiring. It doesn't have a grounding wiring. Any progress on that?
So we didn't ask to redo the electrical grounding.
Sure.
That was kind of a big one that we didn't think they would do. But some of the receptacles were not working, so we did ask that they made sure all those are fixed.
Okay.
And then we did ask that they put the GFCI outlets where that would be, you know, required. The inspector identified a few that he would say, you definitely need them here. So we requested that. They said, yes, no problem.
Cool.
And then we said we would, you know, identify all of them and as, you know, they're not grounded. So to make that aware for future renters.
So generally it's kitchens, bathrooms, exterior where you want those GFI. Did you look at the breaker box? We mentioned this, and I said you want to look to see that there's proper breakers, the kind that you twist over, right? And instead of the round glass fuse boxes that you screw out. So does it in fact have modern breakers?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And then at the top of it, there's generally a main breaker. You're looking for a 200 on that. That means it's 200 amps. Older houses will often have a 100 amp service. Did you figure out what it has?
So we did see in the inspection report that it has 150.
Okay,
And we were talking about it. We were like, it's not 100. You said 100 was really bad.
Yes.
So maybe it's like fine.
Yeah. Hey, I would call that like a step up, you know?
Great. That's what we were hoping.
And it's a smaller house. It's a 3.2.
Correct.
Okay. You know, I'm not an electrician, but I know a little bit about a bunch of stuff. I'm not an expert on anything, except maybe spreadsheets, and that's about it. In my new house I'm building, I have 400 amps coming in.
Wow.
200 for the house, and then 200 for 2 Tesla chargers. That's the most I've ever had in a house. Asbestos shingles. Some need sealing. So asbestos shingles. Tell me about those.
They've been painted over. What that is about is saying it needs sealing on a couple of chipped spots.
Are we talking about the exterior wall siding? Okay, not the roof.
Right.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right, so old-timey siding / shingles that are made out of asbestos. And then tell me what now?
There's a couple of chipped places on various parts, so that needs to be sealed at some point. I don't even think we ended up asking for that. Pretty minor, very small, so it just kind of needs to be sealed up. And
I've got a feeling if you were to caulk and paint over that, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
I've breathed a lot of that over the years with my dad's old houses, you know, sanding the walls that are plaster. A lot of ceilings, if you see 1-foot squares in old buildings, those will be asbestos tiles and ceilings. And then the siding that you mentioned, you can put vinyl siding over a lot of that and kind of contain those things. If you're taking off popcorn ceiling, you want to spray it with some water. You want to put some good face mask on, probably like a level 5. And then you put a fan or 2 in one of the windows and have it draw the air, like vacuum it out. So you will have some of those environmental kind of things. And it's normal with a house of that age. That wouldn't scare me very much.
No. We learned that it was very normal.
It is very normal.
Different houses, a lot of agents, they're able to recognize it just by looking at them now, like by sight. So it's very normal.
Not ideal, but normal. Some of these things you're required to mention in your leases or when you sell houses too.
Yeah, we were planning on that.
I have had those things scare people away. They've literally, when they've seen it on my rental lease, they've actually completely backed out and got scared because they had kids. Like lead-based paint, that'll be something that you'll need to, you're actually supposed to provide a disclosure, like a separate piece of paper, and have a thing in your lease. I do that on all mine that are of age. I think it's 1970 something and before that'll have lead-based paint. I'll give you guys those things when you get there. But miscellaneous plumbing issues.
Yeah, we really just asked them to fix the leak in the crawl space. We were just gonna like take care of the rest of the things, like loose toilet, a couple of plugs missing in the bathtubs, loose shower head. We're just gonna take a little bit of time over a couple of weekends and tighten those things up. That'll be fine.
So you got this big long list of things from the inspector. And you took it back to the seller and you asked for a bunch of stuff. And the seller said,
just signed it and sent it back for me to sign. And I was like, cool, I guess
Yeah.
we're doing it. And we were like really nervous. Like at that point, we were kind of really worrying and wondering, like, is this going to work out? Like,
Right.
are they going to turn all this stuff down? We really didn't know what direction it was going to turn in at that point when we saw the inspection report. But he was just like, yeah, we'll fix it all. And it was all good.
that's great. I think one of the things that may have helped you was this house fell through
Yeah.
the deal before.
For
You
sure.
were a backup offer. They called you back up. And maybe they're just ready to get it done this time. And I bet all this stuff came up before.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
And he's like, okay, I'm finally going to have to fix this stuff.
Yes, exactly.
So where are you guys at right now? You're waiting on them to finish fixing those things?
Yeah, I'm kind of getting the insurance. I'm learning all about house insurance and
Okay.
how to get that squared away.
Okay.
I'm kind of working with a loan company as well to get all those check boxes
Yes.
marked. Other than that, we're just basically waiting. Yeah.
All right. So do you have a closing date?
January 14th.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. It's exciting.
Uh-huh.
Well, I look forward to doing another part to this. I wish you guys well.
Thank you.
Feel free to put any question you have in any video in the comments, and I'll be happy to do what I can to try to answer you guys. Wish these guys luck on their next adventure here. It's been fun seeing this through the process. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate your support. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Make sure to check out the rest of Jeremy's channel. It's helped us a ton. Go check it out. There's a lot of great stuff in there.